What is up, guys? It is your boy the Ball here. So today I'm back with another brand new video. So today I'm actually going to be doing a different type of concept for today's video. And so as you know, actually FC25, I think by the time this video is out, I think should be released to the general public after 7 days of exclusive access for those professional gamers that obviously have the EA Creator Network. And so for today's video, you are actually looking at the football database with actually the best 50 teams or in the world right now. And so for today's video, we are actually going to be attempting a challenge where where I will build the best team rating, and we will see actually which team in the world right now has actually the best team rating despite the rankings. And so now obviously let's go around the rankings, and obviously let's start at the top with obviously Manchester City, Real Madrid, Arsenal, Bayern Leverkusen, and Inter Milan in the top 5, with Barcelona and Liverpool lurking behind them. And so now first up for today's video, we'll be actually starting with Shakhtar Donetsk. And so for around 5 to 10 minutes, I've actually managed to build the best Shakhtar Donetsk squad, and actually their team is actually pretty decent, as they have obviously quite a number of decent goal players such as Zubkov, Bondarenko, Stepanenko, Sudakov, and Matvienko. And although they have some 70 plus rated players, we also have some decent players on the bench. And overall, the final rating of this squad is actually a 74 rating, which is actually pretty decent for a club of their standard. And so guys, tell me in the comments down below, do you think will they be the team with the lowest rating for this challenge? And now we will go on to the next club, which if I'm not wrong is actually gonna be Red Star Belgrade. And so now, because actually in the rankings and in FC25, Red Star Belgrade are not in FC25, so I've actually replaced them with the team that is above them in the world football rankings, which is actually Eintracht Frankfurt. And they also have a very decent squad, with actually them having a very decent bench and them having quite a brilliant lineup with the likes of Chaibi, Marmoush, Ekitike, and Gotze. But I think the only improvement they have to improve is Nkunku, who is I think their worst rated player out of the team. And so now that we will go on to the next team, which is actually gonna be Real Betis. And so for the next team, which is actually Real Betis, who are actually currently ranked obviously 47th in the world right now, and they have actually a very good squad, with obviously them actually having some decent players. But I think the key part of their team is obviously in their midfield, with them having the likes of Isco, Lo Celso, William Carvalho, and Chimi Avila, and hence this has gotten them a 78 rating, and this is actually quite decent for a team that is obviously challenging for Europe every season. And actually the team also costs a decent amount of money, with them actually costing around 9,300 coins in your PlayStation or Xbox consoles. And now we'll be going on to the next team, which is actually gonna be Napoli, as obviously El Ali, if I'm not wrong, or of the Egyptian league, are actually not in the game. And now we'll be actually going on to Napoli's FC25 best team, and obviously for this team is actually quite decent, as obviously they are currently managed by Antonio Conte, and they have really a very decent side with the likes of Kabbalah Scalia, Zambo Ongisa, and Di Lorenzo. And I think that really, even though they do not have the best of squad ratings with 80, I think it's surely not the worst, with obviously quite a decent total squad price in total. And now we are actually going to be going on to the next club, which is going to be Celtic from the Scottish League. And so now we'll be actually going with the next team, which is actually going to be Celtic, and their team is actually also pretty decent for the Scottish Premiership level, but I think that they are no match for the other clubs around their range in the world football rankings, as they actually have only, if I'm not wrong, just 6 gold players in their team, and they have actually quite a number of silver players in their team, which is actually not impressive, and they have hence gotten a 75 rating, which is actually quite decent for a team that is full of silver card players. And we'll be actually going to the next team, which is actually one of the most hated teams in the world and the most overrated club in the world, in my opinion, Manchester United's team. And now we are actually going on to the next team's FC25 team, and it's actually gonna be obviously Spurs. So obviously Spurs actually have quite a decent side with obviously the likes of Saint Germain, Madison, Christian Romero, and Vicario. I think this team is actually pretty decent as obviously is they have actually got a 83 squad rating, which is actually quite decent considering the caliber of their squad. And now we are gonna go to the next clubs team to see if they can beat the record, if I'm not wrong, so far held by Tottenham Hotspur. And now we're actually going on to the next clubs FC best FC 25 team, and it's actually going to be Al Hilal, who are actually, if I'm not wrong, position higher than Tottenham in obviously, if I'm not wrong, in the world football rankings right now. And the team is actually quite decent with obviously the likes of obviously Neymar Jr., Milinkovic Savic, and Joao Cancelo. And I think the only two positions that they are actually not good in is actually in the centre back and the left back position. And so now we are actually going on to our next club to see if they can actually beat the current record of a 83 squad rating. And now the next club's SC 25 team that we're actually going to be going with is actually Roma's SC 25 team, and this is actually the strongest 11 if I'm not wrong, with obviously the likes of Arton Dobic, Paulo Dybala, and Lorenzo Pellegrini. And this side is actually decent with actually getting an 81 squad rating, which is actually certainly not the worst, but also certainly not the best. And I think this squad is actually quite decent considering that they have quite a number of very, very talented players. And now we are going to go to the next club to see if they can actually break the record of a 83 squad rating so far. And now the next club's team is actually going to be Galatasaray, who obviously, as you can see on the screen now, right now, actually do not have really like a very good squad as compared to the other teams so far, with obviously them actually lacking a good center attacking midfielder, a center defensive midfielder, and the right back. But I think the players in the other positions are also very, very good. The likes of Osimhen, Dries Mertens, and Hakim Ziyech. And so now we are actually going to go to the next club to see if they can break the current record for an FC 25 score so far, which is an 83 rating. And now we are actually going to go to the next team's best FC 25 team, and it's actually going to be Girona. So obviously Girona actually last season, at the start of this season, actually lost two of their key players, Artan Dobic and Alice Garcia, to Roma and Bayer Leverkusen respectively, and hence they have actually replace them with actually Abel Ruiz from Braga and Donny van de Beek from Manchester United. And I think even though this Jonas has an 80 squad rating, I think that they still have a very, very good team. And now we are going to go to the next team to see if we can beat the current record of 83 squad rating. And now we're actually going on to the next team, which is actually going to be Newcastle United. So actually Newcastle United have actually had quite a number of players who actually got quite decent upgrades up from SC 24, with obviously Tonali getting a, if not a downgrade or an upgrade, while Bruno Guimaraes actually managed to get an upgrade, if I'm not wrong, while Trippier and Pope, if I'm not wrong, also got downgrades, while Isak and Gordon I think also got some upgrades, and this has actually managed to lead them to a 83 FC 25 team rating, which is actually quite decent considering the caliber of their squad. And I think that they are really one of the most underrated teams so far in this FC 25 challenge. And now we're going on to the next club to see if they can beat the current records rating of 83. And now we're actually going on to the next team, which is actually going to be AC Milan. And AC Milan actually have very, very good players in obviously Magnon, Theo Hernandez, Rafael Leao, and in the end they have actually broken the record so far, which is actually they have gotten actually a 84 squad rating, which is very, very brilliant considering that they actually beat the 83 squad rating, if I'm not held by Tottenham and Al Hilal. And their total squad price is actually 880k, which is actually quite expensive for a good team like that. But I think really they have some meta players that really many of you can use for SC 25 ultimate teams. And now we are actually going on to the next club to see if they can actually beat the current record held by AC Milan with a 84 squad rating. And now we're actually going on to our next club's SC 25 team, which is actually Athletic Bilbao, and they actually have quite a very good squad with the likes of obviously Nico Williams, Unai Simon, and Ojan Sunset. And this team is actually, I think, one of the most underrated teams in the top five leagues, with obviously in La Liga many people just talking about obviously Girona, Atletico Madrid, or Barcelona. But I think Athletic Bilbao are really one of the most underrated teams in the top five leagues right now. and they have actually gotten quite a decent rating of 82, which is actually quite decent considering that they obviously do not have the best of players in certain positions, but I think they are really still a very good side. And now we are going on to the next team to see if they can beat the current record held by AC Milan of a 84 squad rating. And now we're actually going on to the next club, which is actually going to be Aston Villa. So obviously Aston Villa had a very brilliant season last season, obviously with them actually securing top four football for, if I'm not wrong, the first time in over 20 years. And really Aston Villa have had a very good side over the transfer window, with obviously them actually having new signings. And even though this first team that they have do not include any new signings from this season, but I think that they really still have very good players such as Oli Watkins, Pau Torres, and Leon Bailey. And I think that really, even though they have just a 82 squad rating, I think that really they are one of the most underrated clubs in the Premier League right now. And now we are going on to the next team to see if they can beat the current record held by AC Milan's 84 squad rating. And now we're going on to the next club's team, which is actually going to be Juventus. So obviously Juventus actually during the summer window, they actually had a very productive summer window, obviously securing the signings of obviously Michele Di Gregorio, June Koopmeiners, Douglas Luiz, Gonzalez, and Francisco Conceição. And I think that really, even though this team is actually not that good looking on paper, but they still have quite a decent 82 score rating. But they are still not on the level of AC Milan, as they currently have the record rating of 84 rating. But that could change with obviously the better teams in later in the video. And now we're going on to the next team to see if they can break the current record. And now we're going on to the next team, which is actually going to be Chelsea. So Chelsea actually have quite a decent squad with obviously the likes of Nkunku, Cole Palmer, and João Felix. And even though this team only has an 82 squad rating, I think that really this squad is quite good with the individual quality of obviously Palmer and Enzo Fernandez. And I think that this team, even though they might not be the best, I think they are still quite decent. And looking at the defense, I think they really need is a good centre back and a goalkeeper, and they should be good in FC25. And now we're going on to the next team to see if they can beat the record held by AC Milan of a 84 score rating. And now we're actually going to the next team's FC25 team, which is actually going to be RB Leipzig. So RB Leipzig actually have quite a decent squad, with obviously them having some very good young talents in obviously Xavi Simons, Benjamin Sesko, and Luis Openda. And even though they are really lacking in some positions, they still have a decent 82 score rating, which is actually certainly not the best, but certainly also not the worst. And now we're going on to the next team to see if they can break the current record held by AC Milan's FC25 team of 84 rating. And now we're actually going on to the next team, which is actually going to be Atalanta. So Atalanta in FC25 actually have quite a decent squad, with some of the players getting upgrades such as Ivanov, Skamaka, and Ademola Lookman. While Dikitalevel, if I'm not wrong, got a downgrade, but he's still quite decent among all the players. And in this team, their two best players are actually Kanaseki and Lookman, which are both two very underrated players. And if I'm not wrong, they have currently the lowest total price for a team, with them actually having a team worth only just 6.7k, and they have a 80 score rating. But I think if Atlanta were to do well in this season, I think their score rating for FC26 could really improve. And now we're going on to the next team to see if they can still beat AC Milan's current 84 score rating. And now we're going on to the next team, which is actually gonna be Atletico Madrid. So obviously Atletico Madrid obviously have a very decent squad, with the likes of Oblak, Antoine Griezmann, Julian Alvarez, Soloff, and Robin Norman. And this has actually managed to get them an 84 score rating, and hence now they are level with AC Milan as the highest rated squad team, with the highest rated squad so far. And we will now go on to the next team to see if they can break their current record held by both Atletico Madrid and AC Milan. And now we're going to the next club's FC25 team, and it's actually going to be Borussia Dortmund. So Borussia Dortmund actually have a decent lineup, with obviously the likes of Gregor Kobel, Julian Brandt, and so Girassi, and they have and some of the players really have gotten quite good upgrades, such as Julian Brandt, Schlotterbeck, Jan Couto, and Gregor Kobel. But even though in spite of these upgrades, they have still managed to get a 83 score rating, which is very close to obviously the record held currently by Atletico Madrid and AC Milan. But I think with the bigger clubs coming up, we could have a very good club ratings for the for the better clubs. And now we're going on to the next team to see if we can break the current 84 club rating. And now we're going on to the next clubs, actually 25 team, which is actually going to be Sporting Lisbon. So Sporting Lisbon actually have a decent team, obviously the likes of Gokares, Pedro Gonçalves, and Tuman. And obviously, many people are obviously talking about Victor Gokares as probably the best meta player to use for SC25 Ultimate Team and in career mode. And I think even though they have gotten a decent 80 score rating, I think that even though they are obviously 10th in the world right now, I think that they can really still improve in certain positions. And now we're going to go to the next club to see if they can beat the current record held by AC Milan and Atletico Madrid. And now we're going on to the next team, which is actually going to be PSG. So PSG's actually 25 team, many people might have expected actually them to have a massive downgrade after Mbappe left for Real Madrid, but they have still inherited a decent side with them, actually getting an 84 score rating with the likes of obviously Ousmane Dembele, Bradley Barcola, Vitinha, and Gianluigi Donnarumma. And I think that really they are one of the most expensive teams so far with a 268k value. And now let's go to the next team to see if they can break the record currently held by PSG, AC Milan, and Atletico Madrid. And now I'm actually going to be going to the next team, which is actually going to be Bayern Munich. So Bayern Munich, obviously they had quite a number of upgrades from the previous SC24 game, and hence this has gotten them a 85 rating, which puts them first in the SC25 club rankings so far. And even though they do not have that many good players in certain positions, I think that really they still have a very good attack and a very good midfield. And so now we are going to the next team to see if they can break the current record held by Bayern Munich's 85 squad rating. And now we're actually going on to the next club's FC25 team, which is actually going to be Liverpool. So obviously Liverpool actually last season had a decent season last season under their uh, manager Jurgen Klopp, who actually had his farewell season last season. And Arsenal has actually inherited a strong side from last season with obviously the likes of Jota, Diaz, and Salah. And actually for this team, even though they do not have obviously a very good midfielder as compared to previously when they had the likes of Fabinho and Wijnaldum, but they are currently holding the record for the highest rated S25 team so far with an 86 score rating, which puts them first in the leaderboard for the best EAFC 25 club team so far. And now we're going to the next team to see if they can beat Liverpool's record. And we're now going on to the next club's team, which is actually going to be Barcelona. So obviously Barcelona actually have obviously the best youngster in the world in my opinion, Lamine Yamal, in their squad, with him getting an 81 rating in his first ever FC appearance. And they obviously have the likes of obviously Frankie De Jong, Lewandowski, and Pedri as walkouts. And even though they do not have the strongest of scores, they still have quite a decent 85 rating, but they are still one rating away from actually beating Liverpool's record, which is an 86 rating. And now we're going on to the next team to see if they can beat Liverpool's record. And now we're going on to the next club's team, which is actually going to be Inter Milan, aka Lombardia FC. So if you guys actually didn't know what's Lombardia FC, so actually Inter Milan actually lost their license in SC25 together with AC Milan, and now they are named as Lombardia FC. And they actually have quite a decent squad for this new SC25 game, with obviously them having new workouts such as Barella, Çalhanoğlu, Bastoni, Sommer, and Lautaro Martinez. But even though in spite of these workouts, they still have a decent 85 rating, which is quite decent considering that we have some very good teams coming up. And now let's go on to the next team to see if they can break the current record held by Liverpool, which is still at 86 club rating. And now we're actually going on to the next team, which is actually going to be Bayer Leverkusen. So as you know, actually last season they actually managed to only just lose one game in all competitions as they won the Bundesliga unbeaten. And this season, even though they have lost one game and drew a game to both Leipzig and Bayern Munich respectively, I think that even though they have lost their invincible status, I think that they are still a very good team with obviously their players getting huge upgrades such as obviously Grimaldo, Jonathan Tah, and Florian Wirtz. And in spite of that, they still have gotten an 85 score rating, which is quite decent considering the number of upgrades that they had. And still they are still not able to beat Liverpool's current squad rating of 86. And now we're going to the next team to see if they can break Liverpool's record. And now we're actually going on to the next team, which is going to be Arsenal. So obviously Arsenal had a brilliant season last season where they actually finished second and actually was almost able to win the league title from Manchester City until actually they bottled it I think towards the end. And but in spite of that they have had a decent start to the season so far, and they have actually got a lot of players that have gotten walkout. There are walkouts right now in FC25 Ultimate Team such as Martin Odegaard, Gabriel Saliba and Declan Rice. And even though they have such a good team, I think the only place that they're lacking is a left back, with obviously Calafiori being the lowest rated player by a mile. And hence they have actually gotten an 85 score rating. But I think if they have a better left back, I think they will really be able to get a higher rating in FC25 in total. And now we're going to go to the last two teams to see if they can beat Liverpool's current record. And now we're actually going on to the second last team for this video, which is actually going to be Real Madrid. So obviously, Real Madrid are actually currently ranked second in the world right now, as the second best club in the world right now. And actually, after actually signing Mbappe, their score rating has really increased, with them obviously having Vinicius Junior on a 90 rating, Rodrigo getting an upgrade with Bellingham, Valverde and Rudiger getting massive upgrades. And this has actually managed to get them a 88 score rating, and they are currently the holders for the obviously the best FC25 club squad, and they are also currently the most valuable squad, with them actually having over 7 million coins worth of players of player value. And now we are actually going to be going to the last team to see if they can stop Real Madrid from getting that top spot in the FC25 squad rating challenge. And so now we're actually going on to the last team for this video, which is actually gonna be obviously the number one ranked club in the world right now, which is actually Manchester City. So obviously Manchester City obviously have very good players, with obviously the likes of the high rated players such as Haaland, De Bruyne, Foden, Rodri, Gundogan and Bernardo Silva. And this team is actually really very good in all positions, and hence this has actually managed to get them quite decent, quite good rating. And now is the moment of truth to see if will Real Madrid retain the title of being the highest rated squad in the FC game, or will it be Manchester City? And Manchester City have gotten an 88 squad rating, so that means that Real Madrid and Manchester City are shared with 88 with an 88 squad rating. So for the tiebreaker, I will need you guys in the comments down below to tell me who do you think should get the top spot for the best club with the highest squad rating in FC25. And so thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel, as I'm trying to get 100 subscribers before the end of the year. And don't forget to watch two videos on your screen right now, which I highly recommend for you guys to watch after this video. And don't forget to like and comment down in the comments down below to tell me if who is your favorite squad, and should I actually do this video but with national teams. And I will see you guys in the next video. Adios amigos. Peace.